Thank you, everyone. Now let's play some ball.
Hello, everybody, and welcome out to beautiful and rainy Spanish Fork, Utah for today's matchup in round 2 of 5A state playoffs here in Utah between the Skyline Eagles and the Maple Mountain Golden Eagles. If you are just joining us with no context as to what happened yesterday, quite a few things occurred. First off, Maple Mountain came away with win 1 in this 3-game series. And
Mason Papadakis.
As the starting lineup is announced there, it's going to be Papadakis coming out for, Billick coming out for Skyline. And also yesterday, the state all-time single-season home run record was broken by a junior in the form of Cy Chrisman, who not only got his 16th but 17th home run for a walk-off 3-run home run to wrap up the game in the 5th inning, 11-1. And Maple Mountain is looking to close out the series today, and Skyline, on the other hand, is looking to survive another day and continue forward in these state playoffs. And in other news around the playoffs in the 5A level, Spanish Fork, who we also take care of here at Spanish Fork 17, hence the name. They went up 11-1, and no extra innings needed there against Alta, the 4th seed, Spanish Fork, the 20th seed. So big surprise there, kind of a shocker to everyone involved, except for those who have been following Spanish Fork closely, who recognize that this team really put up some good numbers and just played a really tough region. Also in region 7, Maple Mountain. Obviously Maple Mountain. A matchup between Salem Hills and West Jordan. Salem Hills came away with the win, 2-1. And it looks like we're just about to get underway here as number 1, Billick, makes his way up. Skyline in the black and gray, and Maple Mountain in the tan and gold. An early 2-0 count here. And this one's going to slice right down the lane. It looked like that was a late strike call. Our scoreboard says 3-0, so that's what I'm going to go with, even though I thought he gave the call late. And there's the call. That's what we're looking for. So 3-1 is correct. That one's going to come in low.
Now batting for Maple Mountain, right fielder number 3.
It looks like great start for me here is the field is switched today. So Maple Mountain, the visiting team, and that's why I got confused. Maple Mountain, the visiting team, they're in the black and gray, and Skyline, the home team today, in the gold and white. Took me about 10 seconds to figure out what the heck was going on there. So AJ advances on a walk over to first, and now on to Erickson with Chrisman up next and in the hole windward. A little bit of a rocky start for me and for Skyline. But we got the ball rolling now. It's an 0-1 count, and they're going to check over to first. And AJ dives back safely. Now an even count here, 1-1. Erickson, one of the few hitters who's struggled a little bit in this series, but once they got around to the 4th inning yesterday, things really start to crank up for the Eagles, and they put on 5 in the 4th and 4 in the 5th to close things out early. And AJ's going to take off towards second. We've seen this many times before, and he usually gets it if he goes. There's one caught stealing yesterday for the Golden Eagles, but not in this situation. So Thomas is going to advance over onto second, and we're at a 3-1 count for Erickson. Gonna pump that one in there, strike 2. So here comes the full count and the payoff pitch. And they're gonna call that one fair, and they have to make the play across the diamond, and it is there on time.
Now batting for Maple Mountain, third baseman number 12, Cy Chrisman.
And that's going to bring up Cyborg Chrisman, who, as we mentioned earlier, yesterday broke the all-time state home run single season record. And he's at 17 on the season, including the postseason, and they're going to opt to go ahead and walk him there.
Now batting for Maple Mountain, left fielder number 8, Mick Winward.
So Thomas advanced on the hit a moment ago, and Chrisman now at first, so runners at the corner, and that's going to bring up Mick Winward. You can hear the walkout song. Hey, Mickey. I wondered if Mick stood for Mickey or short for Mickey. Probably Mickey Mantle, not Mickey Rocky's trainer. But you never know. It's going to get in there, outside, strike 1. Runners on the corners, 1 out here in the top of the first. And he's going to get a healthy chunk of this one, sending it fair just past the third base line, and that's going to advance Chrisman around to third, and that's going to go down as a double. Chrisman's going to get to third safe, and Thomas rounds and comes home. So early lead here for Maple Mountain.
Designated hitter number 40, Reese Johnson.
And that's going to bring up Reese Johnson. So runners at second and third. Ball 1. Well, there was some rain in here just a little bit ago, and it cleared up just in time for the game to start. I guess you could call it Providence. On deck is Hall, and in the hole, Johnston. Johnston, who pitched yesterday, recording 7 strikeouts on the day. Excuse me, 9 strikeouts on the day. Now we're going to get ourselves to another full count, second of the game. First one ended in a walk for Thomas. Here's the payoff, and that one's going to be low and in the dirt. So the second walk of the day.
Now batting for Maple Mountain, pitcher number 22, Jeremiah Hall.
And that's going to bring up Hall. With a huge opportunity early on. Bases loaded, 1 run already on the board. And he's going to swing early and over the top of this one. So 1-1 count here against Hall. And he's going to get a healthy chunk of this one, sending it foul over the right field wall. And Papadakis delivers, and another one going to be fouled hard right. That had the range for a home run if only it had been 30 feet to the left. It would have been a huge statement play early on in this game with the bases loaded, but instead we end up with the 1-2 count. And that's going to be strike 3, giving us 2 outs on the inning. Papadakis with his first strikeout of the day.
Mountain, first baseman number 17, Chase Johnston.
And that's going to bring up Johnston. Johnston on the season, batting not too shabby, .290 with 69 at-bats. On any other high school team, that'd be not too shabby a number at all, and as it stands by itself, it's not. But on this team, a lot of hitters batting in the 300s and 400s, some in the upper 400s, in the form of Thomas, bats a .470, and Chris Min bats a .450. 2 balls, 0 strikes. Quick mound meeting to get things figured out between the catcher and the pitcher, and we're back underway here, and this one's going to be way upstairs. And Johnston's going to have a great count here with the bases loaded, and if Papadakis can't figure things out pretty quick here, they're going to end up pushing Chrisman home, who was intentionally walked earlier. And there's one. So Papadakis gets this one in, bring the count to 3-1. 2 outs in the inning. If he can walk away from this one with the bases loaded unscathed, I'm sure he would like that. And a hard swing here. That one's going to go just foul. And once again, in a similar spot to where Hall put it just a second ago, over that right field. Had a similar velocity as well, and runners will advance and then back up. And now with the full count, bases loaded, 2 outs here in the top of the first, 1 run on the board for Maple Mountain. And Johnston will ask for time to get his bearings about him and square up. And Papadakis will get that one in there, strike 3. And that's going to wrap up the top of the inning for the Golden Eagles at bat. And as we flip over to the bottom, that gives us the opportunity to thank our sponsors here at Spanish Fork 17. We'd like to thank Lance Wilson State Farm, the Utah Legal Team, Attorneys at Law, MVP Sports, 2 Jack's Pizza, Spanish Fork Community Network, Edward Jones, that's Mike Mendenhall and Tyler Mendenhall, Financial Advisors, and Triple T Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical. So as it stands, after a half an inning of play, Maple Mountain up on the scoreboard. 1 run to 0. They had a huge opportunity there just a moment ago, but Hall and Johnston back-to-back were struck out by Papadakis with 3 strikeouts in the inning,
Starting on the mound
stranding
today for the
3
Golden
runners.
Eagles, number 22, Jeremiah Hall.
And we'd like to just mention, I know this is what confused me at the beginning of the game too, but the scoreboard has it as the visitors and Eagles. That's the way it's listed there, but just per UHSA playoff rules, they have to switch back and forth between who's the home team and the visiting team, even when the the lower seeded team gets to stay at their home either time. So that's a long-winded way of pretty much saying that up on the scoreboard where you see visitors as having 1 run scored, that is actually our home team, the Golden Eagles. So a little bit confusing, but and it makes it even worse that they are both Eagles, one the Golden Eagles and the Eagles, but on the scoreboard it just says Eagles. So the Eagles, when they score, are going to have a point under the Eagles, and the Golden Eagles, who have scored, have a run scored under the visitors. So a little bit of confusion there, but we got it all squared away now.
Shortstop number 10, Charlie Billick.
And leading off for Skyline is going to be Charlie Billick. On deck is Zervis, and I had just recognized earlier when they were doing the starting lineups that I had said this wrong pretty much all day yesterday, so the Yagi family, please forgive me on that one. It's Jack Yagi, not Jaggy. And on the mound for Maple Mountain is Jeremiah Hall. Now, just to show you, give you an idea of how deep this Maple Mountain roster is, Hall is not one of the top 2 pitchers as far as wins go on the season and batters struck out. But he is, as they're able to catch it out there in the outfield for out one of the bottom of the second. But he's leading this team into the second game of the second round in playoffs. And another thing that we mentioned and talked about a couple times yesterday is just how young this team is. With only, and I'm going to get an exact count, I know I pulled it up yesterday, but I can't remember. I believe there's 6 seniors on this Maple Mountain team. And compared to Skyline, who has somewhere in the range between 10 and 15 seniors. So they're an older team, maybe going into a rebuilding phase in this upcoming season, and Maple Mountain with a lot of young talent looking to make their way in this Maple Mountain squad. As quick 3 balls are sent in there, so a 3-0 count in favor of Zervis. And he's squaring up like he's going to swing, but I'd be surprised if he does, as that one's sent in there for the first strike. And if Hall's able to fight his way back into this one after being down 3-0, and that one's going to be outside, so he will not, and they are going to advance Zervis on over to first.
Skyline center fielder number 15, Jack Yagi.
And that's going to bring up Yagi. Maple Mountain with a pretty incredible season this year, maybe one of the best in school history. Only 1 loss on the season. That came to Pleasant Grove, who's a powerhouse in 6A baseball early in the season in tournament play. This one's going to be jacked way up there to center field, and sitting underneath it to make the play is I can't quite see the number.
Now batting for Skyline, left fielder number 16,
Maple Mountain center fielder.
Nico Wharton.
That's going to bring up Wharton. And they're going to check over to first on Zervis, who was walked just a moment ago. And here's the first delivery. It was going to come in just outside. An early 1-0 lead here for Maple Mountain. 2 outs in the bottom of the first. Trying to continue on with what they started yesterday, and this one's going to be smacked way out into left field where the catch is going to be made, and that's going to wrap up the inning. So despite the walk on Zervis, 3 fly outs to wrap things up here, and we're going to go to commercial break. We will see you on the flip side.
No errors. Your score after...
MVP Sports knows how you roll. You name the sport and we've got you covered. MVP Sports has all the gear you need to perform at your best. Come see our new location just off 900 North Main Street. You are the MVP at MVP Sports.
Hi, I'm Mike McKell.
I'm Shani Hunter, and we're attorneys at Utah Legal Team.
Utah Legal Team was voted one of the state's top personal injury law firms.
We deliver bigger payouts and faster results.
If you've been injured in a car accident, we can help. Call us for a free consultation.
Welcome back out to beautiful Maple Mountain High School. Things are really starting to clear up here. You can see right there just the beautiful scene that we get to enjoy today, and alongside a great matchup between Maple Mountain and Skyline High School, who is looking to survive and stay in the race for a state playoff run. But things are looking pretty tough. Skyline in their first inning at bat went
leading off for the Golden Eagles.
4 at-bats. 1 was walked, but the remainder were caught in fly balls. And now on the other side of the coin, Leifson will, towards the bottom of the order, the 8th hitter, will stride out there. Still on the mound for this Skyline crew is Papadakis. Was able to record 3 strikeouts, but did walk 3 in the top of the first. And he's off to a good count here, 0-2 in favor of Papadakis. And Sawyer trying to hang in there. And this one's going to come in low, good eye. And this one's going to be smacked into the ground. And the play is going to be made, the shortstop first base connection. And Payne Papadakis, the other Papadakis, is able to catch it for the out there.
Shortstop number 2, Hayden Hyatt.
And Atkinson, who isn't hitting today, plays over there at short, is able to make the throw on time, giving us out 1 here in the top of the second. Excuse me, that is Billick, and this same confusion happened yesterday because the roster has number 10 listed as Atkinson, who isn't in the lineup, but Billick is wearing the number 10 jersey out there at shortstop. So we're getting all the kinks ironed out here. I was going to say it's pretty unusual for them to have a designated hitter for a shortstop position, but I've seen it before. As we're off to a 1-2 count against Hyatt. He's going to get a chunk of this one, sending a foul over towards the left field wall. And the fight will continue. And he's going to swing over the top of this one, strike 3, and he's out, making it the second out of the top of the second. So after kind of a hot start that ended up really getting nowhere for the Golden Eagles, Papadakis has started to figure out his rhythm just a little bit here, and that's going to take us back to the top of the order with Thomas, who was walked to start off the game. With 2 outs in the inning with a ground out from Leifson and a strikeout there from Hyatt. And off to 0-1 count. Thomas, who leads the team in batting average and on-base percentage, and also leads the team, I should mention, in stolen bases, and is one of the top in the state in that category. Currently ranked at 8th in the state with 25 stolen bases is what I'm showing here. He is a senior and will be sorely missed next year as he gets a healthy chunk of this one, sending it foul. So 1-2 count, 2 outs, top of the second. And over getting some swings in is Erickson. And in the hole is Chrisman. That one's going to be way outside in the dirt. Even up the count, 2-2. And that one's going to get in there to wrap up the top of the second here. So another goose egg, or excuse me, the first goose egg on the scoreboard for Maple Mountain as they go away empty-handed. And just some good pitching by Papadakis. And that's going to wrap that up at bat up for Maple Mountain as we flip over to the bottom of the second. We'd like to go ahead and thank our sponsors here at Spanish Fork 17. That is Triple T, Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electricals, Spanish Fork Community Network, Edward Jones, Mike Mendenhall, and Tyler Mendenhall, Financial Advisors, Two Jacks Pizza, MVP Sports, Utah Legal Team, Attorneys at Law, and Lance Wilson State Farm. And if you don't happen to see this game live, you can always find us on youtube.com/Spanish Fork 17, where you can see replays for not only this game, but a lot of baseball games throughout the season for Spanish Fork and Maple Mountain. And if you are watching this live right now, give us a shout out to your friends and family. We would love all the people who enjoy our content. Whenever you spread the word, we sure do appreciate it. And I'm just hearing from our producer here at Spanish Fork 17, there is families from out of state in Twin Falls, Idaho, and Beaver, Utah is what I'm hearing watching this right now. So we'd like to give them a shout out. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you guys are having a great day, and please continue to spread the word. We appreciate all of our viewers here on Spanish Fork 17. So to get things going in the bottom of the second for Skyline is 22, Papadakis. And that one's in there for strike 1. And Jeremiah Hall on the day so far, no strikeouts. And a really difficult throw made here, and it's not going to be quite on time. It got past shortstop, and the second baseman had to come over and corral that in and attempt to make the play, but throwing across your body while you're in the air is not the easiest thing to do, and it's going to take a bounce and not quite get there. So Papadakis will advance, and that's going to bring up Beasley. Strike 1 in there. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. And he's going to get over the top of that one, giving us an 0-2 count with 0 outs here in the bottom of the second. A lot of encouragement coming from the dugout of Skyline. I think they are kind of starting to sink in that they're up against a first-seeded team, and that's going to go strike 3, so 1 out on the board for Maple Mountain here in the bottom of the second.
Catcher number 31, Abe Wilson.
That's going to bring up Abe Wilson with the other Papadakis, Mason, on deck, and Pedroza in the hole. And once again, another, I'm still trying to figure this out, Beasley is listed as number 27 on the roster, but it's looking like he's 17. So a little check throw over to first, and here comes the first pitch. And he's going to foul this one hard back into the fence. Just got underneath it. Maple Mountain defending well today. With only 1 on-base showing from Zervis. Comes pitch due. This one's going to be high, and Thomas is going to pop up and threaten the throw over to first, but doesn't take it. Over where Papadakis is taking a healthy but not overly zealous lead. The 1-1 count. Here comes pitch 3. And this one's going to be popped up foul, but if they can make the play, and they will, for out 2 of the inning. That was Johnston.
Now batting for Skyline, the pitcher, number 11, Mason Papadakis.
Who we see usually on the mound, but is over at first today. And usually on first, Chrisman is over at third. And that one's in there for strike 1. And he's going to get way over the top of this one. Strike 2, 2 outs. He's going to try not to strand Papadakis over at first, who reached on an infield ground single that bounced over by third. And Papadakis takes off and is able to beat the throw over to second. He would have beat the throw either way, but it ends up escaping a little high there for Thomas, who is usually exceptionally on target, but this one gets away from him a little bit and sails over second base. It's eventually fielded, and now we're down to the 1-2 count. This one's going to be smacked high in the sky over to center, and coming in to make the play is 13. That's Leifson.
All right, that completes
and so that's going to wrap up the second inning. Maple Mountain on top here, 1-0 over the visiting Skyline Eagles. We will see you in a moment.
Maple Mountain 1.
The best time to check your furnace is before it fails, and you can rely on Triple T to do the job right. Our technicians are trained every year so you can sleep better at night, knowing your furnace is safe to operate. Call Triple T at 798-7711 to schedule your tune-up today.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Lance Wilson for your personal price plan today.
Welcome back out to Spanish Fork 17. Maple Mountain on top here, 1-0 over the visiting Skyline Eagles. Skyline has reached first in both innings and then gone 3 and out outside of that. So 3 flyouts in the first, 2 in the second, and 1 strikeout in the second for Hall. And now Maple Mountain's going to get into the order. Starting things off with Erickson and then Chrisman on deck and Windward in the hole. Maple Mountain on the other side of things here. They've reached,
leading off for the Golden
4
Eagles,
times
right fielder number 3,
and scored once.
Erickson.
That score came in the form of A.J. Thomas early on in the game was walked, and then Chrisman was walked, and then Windward with a double that brought Thomas home, and Johnson was walked, and with the bases loaded, Papadakis was able to keep his bearings about him and strike out Hall and Johnston back-to-back to wrap up the first and strand 3 on. And Erickson trying to get the ball rolling again for this Golden Eagles squad. Have a particularly strong top of the order here. And the 1-1 count after he got caught leaning too far into that bunt attempt. That one's going to be just high. Giving us a 2-1. Erickson bats a .241 as he gets a big chunk of this one here, sending it foul. And he wasn't quite sure where that one went. He turned like he was going to take off and then makes his way back. And that one's going to be popped up right over the catcher's head. And instead it's going to be Papadakis coming in to make the play. He just had the better angle, I guess, and
now batting for the Golden Eagles.
It looks like it may have been lost in the sun.
Chrisman.
But Papadakis with the catch and 1 out in the top of the third. Bottom of the second. First one outside. One out, 1-0 count against Chrisman. And they're actually opting to pitch to him this at-bat. And it was a risk that paid off, but just barely as the catch is made way out by the left field, outfield wall.
Now batting for the Golden Eagles, left fielder number 8.
So it could have gone bad, but it doesn't. And Skyline with 2 outs, and that's going to bring up Windward with Johnson on deck and Hall in the hole. So 2 back-to-back flyouts, and Windward here trying to get things going again. It's going to be hard with 2 outs as this one's popped up to almost the same spot, and the catch is going to be made. That's a Wharton with 2 catches to wrap up that inning for Skyline. So that wraps things up here in the second. Maple Mountain on top, 1-0. We're going to head into the bottom of the third here. And that gives us the opportunity to thank our sponsors at Spanish Fork 17. That is Edward Jones, Mike Mendenhall and Tyler Mendenhall, financial advisors, Spanish Fork Community Network, Triple T, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical, Lance Wilson State Farm, the Utah Legal Team, attorneys at law, MVP Sports, and Two Jacks Pizza. So Maple Mountain with their second goose egg inning of the day. And the visiting Skyline Eagles so far haven't been able to get on the board with only 2 runners on base that were left stranded. 1 at first and 1 at second after stealing base. And they're going to try to get things going again here and going into the top of their order in just a moment. After Pedroza, the 9-hitter.
Leading off for Skyline, shortstop number 10, Charlie Billick.
Excuse me, number 1 hitter, Billick. Billick, who popped one out to start off the bottom of the first for Skyline. This one's going to come tight and high. And I thought it was Pedroza, and the announcer said Billick, but I believe it is Steve Pedroza down at the bottom of the order. So it looks like there was a little confusion, and me, being the sheep that I am, just followed what the announcer was saying, but should have stuck to my guns on that one. So the 2-1 count against Pedroza.
Second baseman Steven
And
Pedroza.
here comes the correction there. So we're both getting things figured out. And the PA announcer tag team in here. Here comes pitch 4, and that one's going to be just outside, ball 3, 3-1 count. That one's going to be way outside. And he looked like he didn't know that he was in a 3-1 situation, just standing over there waiting for the walk call, and the ump said, hey, go ahead and take first.
Charlie Billick.
So Pedroza marches over on a walk, just the second of the day for Hall. And that's going to bring up number 10, Billick. Skyline with a bit of a rough start to their season. In the first 6 games, they went 2-4, and then got things going a little bit through the middle of the season, and wrapped up with some tough games against Brighton, and 2 losses there, and then 2 wins against Bountiful, and then into playoffs here. Everyone knows. Everyone that's been with us since the beginning of the game went down to Maple Mountain here, 11-1 in the first game of this best-of-3 series. And now they're trying to fight for their season here in the second game. If they lose this one, they'll be eliminated, and Maple Mountain will move on to take on the winner of Murray and Viewmont, and their second game going on right now. And this one's going to be fouled left. I should say, if Maple Mountain comes away with a win here, then they'll go on to face the winner of that Murray-Viewmont game. But Skyline's still very much in this one with only a 1-run lead by Maple Mountain. And a 2-2 count with 0 outs after that walk for Pedroza. And Billick will watch this one through outside. The southpaw hitter, left-handed hitter. Bringing us to a full count for Hall. Pedroza without much of a lead over there at first. And Hall will wind up. Here's the delivery, and he's going to swing through. Just a little bit late on that one. Strike 3, and that's going to give them their first out of the inning here in the bottom of the third.
Number 7, George Zervos.
And that's going to bring Zervis, who was walked, to get the first on-base appearance for Skyline of the day. In the first. And And they're going to check on things over with Pedroza at first, and he'll dive back in time. Here's the delivery, and a big piece of this one. It's going to send it over where the catch is made. That's Erickson who got underneath it over in right field, and that's going to go down as the second out of the bottom of the third. And Yagi trying to advance Pedroza over there on first, who wasn't able to advance on that fly out just because of the proximity of where that was hit out to. And this one's going to be smacked in the ground, and the advancing play is made. And that's going to wrap things up here in the bottom of the third with another goose egg on the board for Skyline, who has yet to found anything offensive-wise here. So after three, it's 1-0 with Maple Mountain on top. We will see you in just a moment.
Dad, we got this.
We got this.
Let me check out something.
We got this. We got this.
Life is for living.
We got this.
Let's partner for all of it. Edward Jones.
Hi, welcome to Two Jack's Pizza.
For the best pizza you'll ever taste and our world-famous cheese sticks, come to Two Jack's Pizza on Main Street in Spanish Fork or call us for a quick delivery. Are you hungry yet?
Welcome back to Spanish Fork, Utah. There's a look over at the Wasatch Mountains over to our left, just past the left field wall. And a little bit of snow in the mountains today, and things haven't quite melted here midway through May. We had a really nice week, or nice 2 weeks to start off May, and then this week the temperatures drop just a little bit. I'm not a meteorologist, but I think I speak for the rest of Utah here when we say that we're hoping things continue to heat up and we get to go into the rest of our 5A playoffs and the rest of the state playoffs for baseball and softball with some nice weather. It's really starting to clear up here today. There's a cloud cover, but it's pretty cozy. So starting things off for Maple Mountain is Johnson. Here in the top of the fourth, Maple Mountain has a 1-0 lead. And still on the mound for Skyline is Papadakis. And this one's going to be called fair, and the advancement is made in time by Johnson, and he's going to turn it for a double play after this one gets by Peyton Papadakis. So the connection just not quite on time between Zervis and Papadakis, and that's going to allow Johnson to round the corner. So with a runner on second, Hall is going to step into the box. Hall, who was struck out at his first at-bat appearance. And that one's going to be just outside, making it 2-0. So Skyline, like I was mentioning a second ago, they had a really good middle section of the season, especially in region play with wins coming out in the series against Highland West, and then struggled a little bit against Brighton, but came up big when it counted against Bountiful in the first the first little section of the playoffs, and this one's going to be rocketed out left, and that one's going to clear the fence. Our first home run of the day, a 2-run homer.
That's a 2-run home
and that's going to bring in Hall
Jeremiah Hall
and Johnson, running up the score 3-0 in favor of Maple Mountain. And Hall, that's his 3rd home run of the year. And big smiles as he makes his way to the dugout. You get the awesome shot there as he dives across his team.
Now batting for the Golden Eagles, first baseman number 17, Chase Johnston.
Well, you can see the slugging prowess of this Maple Mountain team the past 2 games here, a game and a half, really feeling like almost like a home run derby with 2 coming from Chrisman and that one there from Hall, and that's going to bring up Johnston, who struck out looking earlier on. So 0 outs so far in the bottom of the 4th. Or, excuse me, top of the 4th. I keep saying that because I look at the scoreboard and see the visitors and Eagles, and I explained it all earlier, and still I'm falling for the same thing that I explained. So here in the top of the 4th. Johnson with the 1-2 count. And he's going to get a piece of that one, send it over into the right field gap. And it takes one bounce and ends up with Beasley, who is able to get it back in, but not before Johnston takes first. So that'll go down as a single, and with 1 on base, Lason's going to make his way out. Lason ground out in the top of the 2nd. And he's looking to continue this little mini run for Maple Mountain that came off the bat for Hall just a moment ago, who homered, bringing home himself and Johnson. On deck for Maple Mountain is Hyatt, and in the hole Thomas. Thomas, who walked earlier and struck out in the 3rd. And after checking on things at first, here comes the 1-0, and bunt is shown. They're going to call it strike 1, so it evens up the count, 1-1. And now Layson has it well over his shoulder. Trying to pull the same trick twice. That one's going to get in there for strike 2, giving him a 1-2 count. 1-2 count, 0 outs here in the top of the 4th. 2 runs scored in the 4th. Runner on first, and this one's going to just barely sneak by Billick. And that's going to advance Johnston on over to 3rd. Off Lason's single where he ends up on first. So runners on the corner, and that's going to bring up Hyatt, who struck out earlier on, but a big opportunity here with 0 outs, runners on the corners, and looks like it's time for a little mound meeting to get things either settled, or I don't have a view of the pin over here for Skyline, but I gotta imagine this is kind of the point where you start considering that. Maple Mountain with a 3-0 lead here in the top of the 4th. Now, like I mentioned earlier, whoever wins this one will go on to play, or excuse me, whoever wins this series, it's not going to be decided by this game. So if Skyline rallies and is able to come out on top, a game 3 will be played if necessary, and the winner of that is going to play the winner of Murray and Viewmont. And then on the other side of that same bracket, Cypress and Wasatch are playing right now with Alta and Spanish Fork to take on the winner there. The winner of Alta and Spanish Fork
Eagles, shortstop number 2,
will
Hayden Hyatt.
could eventually proceed to play the winner of the next matchup here. So an interesting look there. And it looks like all the games all the series from this point forward are going to be played over at BYU. So they're going to opt to keep Papadakis out on the mound there in a tricky situation with runners on the corner. And Hyatt in the box. This one's going to be low and outside, giving them the 1-0. Hyatt bats a .234 after 64 at-bats on the season. And with 11 RBIs, they could definitely use one here. It looks like there's going to be a little inspection here to just clean up some, it looked like tape. I couldn't really tell what it is over on Papadakis' hands, but they get it figured out, and we are back to play here with a 1-1 count against Hyatt. Runners on the corners. Or runners were on the corners, and now they're going to advance from second, third home. And that's going to bring in the 4th run of the game for this Maple Mountain squad in the top of the 4th. They got 3 in the top of the 4th, 1 in the top of the 1st. And another second to chat and get things figured out. After that one gets away from Papadakis, sails high and not able to get reined in for Skyline. So Leifson over on third now after Johnston makes his way home. Hall with a home run that put 2 on the board here in the top of the 3rd, and this one's going to find the seam just past shore and make its way out to center field. And in the meantime, Leifson's going to advance on home.
Golden Eagles catcher number 1.
So for Hyatt, that'll go down as a single, and that'll bring us back to the top of the order after just an inning and a half of play. And now Skyline's coach, Eric Morgan, is going to make his way out to the mound, and that's going to do it for Papadakis. So Papadakis, who had a decent start to the game, he's going to record 5 strikeouts on the day, but after just a really brutal inning with a single, a home run, and then 3 singles following that, he's going to be sent back to the dugout, and we're going to figure out who's taking the mound for Skyline in just a moment here.
We will have a pitching change by Skyline. Taking the mound for the Eagles, number 17.
They're going to bring out number 17, Beasley, who was fielding just a moment ago. And the field's going to get switched up a little bit, and I'll call it as I see it for you. And we're going to go to the top of the order here for Maple Mountain, starting things out with Thomas, who is 1 for 2 on the day, and Erickson, who is 0 for 2, and then Chrisman, who is 1-1 and looking for another home run to add to his legacy here, as he not only continues to push the single-season state record further, but also continue to push the career home run record. And we mentioned this earlier, a lot of young players on this team for Maple Mountain. Some names that you're going to recognize here. Chrisman, he's a junior. He's got another year ahead of him. Hayden Hyatt, who we saw just a moment ago, he's a junior as well. Lincoln Beanfield, who we haven't really, he's fielding today. We haven't seen him at bat, but there's another junior, and Nash Ferguson, who we see off and on, junior as well. So just a lot of youth on this team. A lot of kids who are in the up-and-coming class, and then they're going to miss Leifson as well as Erickson and Thomas.
Once again, for the Golden Eagles, number 1, A.J. Thomas.
So Thomas made his way out, then headed back to the dugout, and now he's going to make his way out again. We talk a lot about Thomas. He's not the tallest guy. You can kind of see there, but that kid really, I mean, he packs a punch. He swings for the fences, and if he gets on first, it's almost a guarantee that he's going to make it to second. As far as runs scored, Thomas with 32 on the season. He bats a .470. He's been at bat 83 times on the season and played in all 25 games. A critical part of this Maple Mountain squad, and as he smacks this one left, it's going to be foul. And they're going to chase it down but not get out there. Yeah, not only on the hitting side, but also on the fielding side. He's just the anchor of the team behind home plate. And that's the 1-1, and this one's going to be popped over into left, where the catch is going to be made. That's Jack Yagi. So, one out here in the top of the fourth. 4 runs scored as well. And that's going to bring up Erickson, who has not reached today. He's 0 for 2, struck out, fouled out. Looking to get on base here and advance Hyatt. And that one's going to get in there, strike one. And before the 0-1, a check throw is going to be made over to first, where Hyatt didn't really have much of a lead at all, so he'll kind of just crawl his way back on over. And now the 0-1. And Hyatt's going to take off. And this one's going to be smacked into the ground. The barehanded catch is going to be made, but not before Erickson makes it over there on time. He's going to be called safe. Hyatt's going to advance over to third. So the barehanded catch was made, and it looks like the play might have been made by Billick, by Zervis, but it's not going to quite get there in time. And now we're going to have runners on the corner, and Chrisman making his way out to the box. So another huge opportunity for Maple Mountain. They were in a situation similar to this in the first with bases loaded and weren't able to capitalize there, and hoping for a different result. Chrisman, who's 0-1-1 on the day, he was walked in the first intentionally, and then they're going to go ahead and award him first here. So we seen that a moment ago, and there's a reason you do it with this guy, who we mentioned has the state home run record and the single-season home record, and they're going to take their chance instead against Windward with only 1 out and load the bases for Maple Mountain. So it's a dangerous gamble, but they're going to have to take it. And that's going to bring up Windward, who also not much better for them there. He did strike out once today, but he doubled in the first, and he's looking to bring some players home here as the bases are loaded for Maple Mountain. This one's going to be low and outside. Windward, who bats a .423, not too shabby numbers, one of the leaders on the team. Bats a .423 along with Leifson. They bat the exact same. Leifson, though, at bat 71 times, and Windward 52. So a little bit less of a sample to go from there, but definitely a pretty prolific batter for this squad. And they're going to figure out which call they like, as Windward is quickly in a favorable count here, 2-0. And Leifson, Hyatt, and Hyatt, Chrisman, and Erickson all looking to make their way home. Here comes the 3-0. And this one's blasted out to right. And getting underneath it to make the play. It's the right fielder, but after a couple of errors, they're going to round two, and Chrisman's going to make his way over to third. So a caught ball, but it really could not have gone worse for Skyline in that situation, as they try to make the play at home and it gets over the catcher's head, and then they try to get it back to the catcher from the backstop here from the pitcher, from Beasley, and once again gets over the head. So just a little bit of a struggle there for Skyline, and that's going to run up the score even further for Maple Mountain, who in the top of the fourth has been able to pour on 6 to their 1 run in the first, making the total score 7-0, and that's going to bring up Johnson with 2 outs in the inning, and Skyline really trying to get out of this one with a runner over on third in the form of Chrisman. And he's going to watch that one inside, and maybe a little high for ball 1. And the fans are really starting to feel it over here, and I think Skyline just really needs some pitching here to, man, that's definitely not going to help things as Chrisman's able to advance as this gets by once again. So not able to make the stop there, and comes into the backstop, and Chrisman advances home. So we went from a fly out with the bases loaded to now 3 runners have scored, bringing the score to 8-0 in favor of Maple Mountain, and they may be looking at this point to try and close this one out early, and this one's going to be popped up foul right. Reese with the 2-1 count, 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. No runners on base. And he'll watch that one right down the lane, making it 2-2. And Beasley could really use a strikeout here. And instead, it's going to get tapped on over to third, but the play is going to be made on time this time. Papadakis is able to corral it in, and that's going to flip us over to the bottom of the 4th after 7 runs scored, with a total score 8-0, and that gives us the opportunity to thank our sponsors here at Spanish Fork 17. That is Utah Legal Team, Attorneys at Law, MVP Sports, Lands, Wilson State Farm, Triple T, Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical, 2 Jack's Pizza, Edward Jones, Mike Mendenhall, and Tyler Mendenhall, Financial Advisors, as well as our very own Spanish Fork Community Network. Well, if you're just joining us today, the tale of the tape here for Maple Mountain has been you just can't stop their hitting. They've had almost everyone reach. As a matter of fact, I believe it has been everyone up to this point. Chrisman has been intentionally walked twice, and based off his hitting yesterday, we can see why. And Hall with a home run to his name today, and then Johnston, Leifson, and Hyatt with singles of their own, as well as Erickson. So just a heavy slugging day for Maple Mountain, and a couple errors on the part of Skyline here.
Leading off for Skyline, left fielder number 16, Nico Wharton.
And so that's going to take us to Warren towards the middle of the order. For Maple Mountain, we've been through the order 2.5 times, and Skyline about 1 1/3. Wharton, who popped a fly out in the first to wrap up the first for Skyline. And a good eye there, making it 1-0 count. Now with 1-1. We're talking about Maple Mountain and what they did this season as far as compared to other seasons in school history. And they went undefeated in region with an average win margin of almost 7 runs. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, just over 8 runs. So an average win margin of just over 8 runs with their closest game in region coming in a 4-0 win over Salem Hills as well as a 4-0 win over Spanish Fork. So an extremely dominant region run for Maple Mountain, who is looking to make a really deep run in state here. And as long as they're able to get past Skyline today, and things are looking pretty good for them so far. 2-2 count here against Wharton. 0 outs in the bottom of the 4th. And Warren's going to come over the top of that one. So
now batting for Skyline.
A strikeout there
Peyton Papadakis.
for Warren. That is only the second of the day for Hall. So just excellent fielding by Maple Mountain. Hall has walked 4, struck out 2. Walked 2, struck out 2. And now is in a favorable count here with 0-2 against Papadakis. Peyton Papadakis, who singled in the second. And despite being up 0-2 in the count here, he's going to hit Papadakis, advancing him over to the first. That's the first hit by pitch of the day. And that's going to bring up Beasley, who struck out swinging in the second with a runner on first. Man, Skyline could really use some momentum here, and that's not going to help as that one's in there for strike 1. Hall gets the call he likes, checks on things over at first. During that early season play, tournament play for the most part, Maple Mountain also recorded 4 wins against 6A schools in Utah. That just shows how dominant this program is. And our cameramen tried to come away with that foul ball here, and they're sitting up there smiling at each other. Fortunately, they can't turn the camera around for a selfie, but I can assure you big smiles on their faces. They almost came away with that one. So the 2-2 count here against Beasley with Warren over on first. And 1 out in the inning. And this one's going to get past our backstop here. It sailed a little bit high, and that's going to advance Warren over to second. That's very, very rare for that to happen. Thomas, we talked about him just a second ago, one of the best catchers in the state. Rarely lets it get by him, but regardless, we're going to have a runner on second, and this one's going to be smacked way out to left center, where the catch is going to be made. And Papadakis isn't able to advance, and that brings up our second out in the inning. The score is 8-0 in favor of Maple Mountain, and that's going to bring up Abe Wilson, number 31. He's 0 for 1 on the day. Popped one up in the second. And they're going to get the strike there, making it an 0-1 count. 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th. And like we mentioned a little bit ago, Hall with only 2 strikeouts on the day. But there's a lot of depth on the mound for this Maple Mountain squad, and this one's gonna be hit on a beeline out to center where the catch is going to be made. That's going to be Leifson, who wraps up the 4th inning for Maple Mountain, and that leaves the score at 8-0 in favor of Maple Mountain. We're going to go to break. We will see you in just a moment.
Skyline 0.
MVP Sports knows how you roll. You name the sport and we've got you covered. MVP Sports has all the gear you need to perform at your best. Come see our new location just off 900 North Main Street. You are the MVP at MVP Sports.
Hi, I'm Mike McKell.
I'm Shani Hunter, and we're attorneys at Utah Legal Team.
Utah Legal Team was voted one of the state's top personal injury law firms.
We deliver bigger payouts and faster results.
If you've been injured in a car accident, we can help. Call us for a free consultation.
Welcome back to Maple Mountain High School, where your Maple Mountain Golden Eagles lead the visiting Skyline Eagles 8-0 here in the second round of 5A state playoffs. If it sounded like I was chewing just a second ago, it's because I was, and I want to give a shout out to the Maple Mountain High School, who takes care of all of us, all the production crew here at Spanish Fork 17. That is the Booster Club, and they hooked us up with hamburgers. And if you're not fortunate enough to be on the production crew here at Spanish Fork 17 and you happen to be watching this game, text your friends and family who are here and say, hey, you should go over and grab yourself some hot dogs or hamburgers or whatever you need. And all of that stuff directly benefits this Maple Mountain Golden Eagles squad, and they're going to need some of that money because every single day they're packing out these bleachers all the way up to the seams. And if this team continues to go the way they're going, they're going to need expanded seating in the next few seasons here. So up to hit here for Maple Mountain is Jeremiah Hall. And this one's going to bounce on over and get there just in time as Papadakis corrals that one in.
Now batting for Maple
the throw
Mountain,
being made
17, Chase
by
Johnston.
Pedroza. So 1 out here. Maple Mountain with a 8-0 lead. And yesterday the game only went to 5 innings, where Chrisman was able to wrap things up with a walk-off homer. The score at the end, 11-0. And that's going to bring up Johnson, the southpaw. Johnston. And he's going to get a chunk of this, sending it out into center where it will not be caught. It's going to take a couple of bounces, and Johnson is rounding, and the toss was made back to second, but it's not going to get there quite in time. And that's going to go down as a double.
Now batting for the Golden Eagles, number 13, Sawyer Leifson.
The second double of the day, the first coming in the top of the first for Windward. And another hitter reached second, but after a fielding error as it got past first base. And that's going to bring up Leifson. Leifson, who made the catch just a moment ago to wrap up the fourth. He's 1 for 2 on the day. Ground out in second and smacked a single out there in third. Excuse me, the fourth. It was a long fourth. Leifson bats a .423. We mentioned that a second ago. 2 hitters on this squad, Windward and Leifson. But Leifson with 71 at-bats. And they're going to check on things over at second. And the ball's actually going to get away from Beasley. Excuse me, from Pedroza. But no damage done, nonetheless. The 1-0. And that was framed to the middle, but the ump not going for it, making it a 2-0. And Leifson's not going to watch any longer. He's going to hit that one on a string out to right field where the catch is going to be made, and they're going to get it back in time, making it so Johnston is not able to advance. So that's going to go down as the second out in the inning after the ground out by Hall, and that's going to bring up Hyatt, who is also 1 for 2 on the day. Struck out in the second, and in the fourth, got a piece of it for a single. With Johnston over on second, has a pretty commanding lead. Here comes pitch 1. And that one's going to be low and outside, giving us 1 ball. Hyatt, who has hit 3 home runs on the year. Watches this one inside, and this is going to be a hit by pitch. It came way inside, and he leaned back and still got smacked, so he's going to advance on over. So that's
for the Golden Eagles,
1 hit by pitch for each squad.
A.J. Thomas.
Beasley, who hit Hyatt, and Hall, who hit Papadakis. Peyton Papadakis. And that is going to bring up A.J. Thomas at the top of the order. And we should talk about A.J. Thomas. We've gone a couple rants about him today. One more thing to mention about Thomas is he has recently committed to Salt Lake Community College. Shout out the Bruins. You guys are getting a good one there. AJ, one of the few seniors on this varsity squad. That one's going to come well inside. With runners on first and second. So a long fourth and a long fifth so far for Skyline, trying to put away Maple Mountain. And Thomas with the 1-1 count, 2 outs. In the top of the fifth, runners on first and second. And Beasley checks over to second. Here's the windup and the delivery outside and low, making it 2-1. AJ, who walked in the first to get things going, and since then has struck out and popped a fly. Here comes the 2-1. And that one's put in the seam over right center. And AJ is going to keep going. Of course, you can't slow that kid down, and he's going to keep going, advance all the way to third as the 2 runners are going to come home. And I don't know if we got that one on camera there, but as he was coming around, Hyatt took a spill over there in between third and home. But he gets up, and his team's just as excited for him as ever. And that's going to bring up Erickson with 2 outs in the inning. The score 10-0. And Erickson has the opportunity to put this one away. They're going to call time
In to run for the Golden Eagles, number 7, Nash Ferguson.
They're going to bring up a speed-up runner. That's Ferguson, another one of the players we mentioned earlier. Ferguson is a junior this year. Usually see him in the outfield and occasionally on first base. So they're going to put Ferguson over at third. And AJ, after his triple, is going to head back to the dugout after a great game played. And depending on what happens here with Erickson, he could be on his way back out in a moment all geared up, or Erickson could put this one away. Oh, my producer's reminding me, this just keeps happening. This is an ongoing theme. I keep, with Maple Mountain being the home team, I'm so used to seeing them at the bottom of the inning. So a little bit of confusion there. But if they score, then we go to the bottom, and Skyline doesn't score. Well, I'm sure y'all have figured it out by now. And that one's going to get in there, strike 2, making the count 2-2. And that one's going to come in outside, bringing us to a full count. And this one's going to be popped up over the left field wall. Erickson, who bats at .241. He is a senior. And he's going to pop this one way up, and here comes the catcher, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to make a play as a couple of the fans duck out of the way over there. So things will stay at 3-2. And Windward will bring out another ball. And we're right back at it. 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. 2 runs scored in the top of the 5th. And a full count. And this one's going to be popped up over to right center, where the catch is going to be made by Mason Papadakis. And that's going to wrap up that at-bat for Maple Mountain. They scored 2 runs in the top of the 5th, and that's going to flip us over to the bottom of the 5th. And in the meantime, we'd like to thank our sponsors here at Spanish Fork 17. That is Edward Jones, Mike Mendenhall, and Tyler Mendenhall, financial advisors. The Utah Legal Team, attorneys at law. Triple T, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Lance Wilson State Farm, MVP Sports, Two Jacks Pizza, as well as Spanish Fork Community Network. So for Maple Mountain today, it's just been constant, and looks like they're going to be making a pitching change, and they're going to put Giles up on the mound. So that's going to wrap up the day for Hall, who was able to strike out 2, hit 1, and walk 2, and thanks to the fielding of this Maple Mountain squad, walks away with a goose egg on the scoreboard for Skyline while he was up on the mound. Giles, he's a right-handed pitcher. He is a junior. He stands at 6 feet tall. And when we do see him on the hitting side, he hits a not too shabby .318. So utility player, and we'll definitely be seeing more of him in the upcoming years.
Leading off for Skyline.
And stepping out for Skyline is number 11, Papadakis. And they're going to be in the bottom of the order with Papadakis, Pedroza. Pedroza, who was walked earlier on, but this will just be Papadakis' and Pedroza's second time at bat this game, as Maple Mountain has made quick work of these innings, at least while they've been on the fielding side. The score 10-0 in favor of Maple Mountain after 4.5 innings played. Maple Mountain putting one on in the first and then really pouring it on in the fourth, where they're able to stack up another 7, and then 2 runs brought in the top of the 5th. And this first pitch is going to be low and outside. And another one that's missing the zone, giving us an early 2-0 count. And another one in the outside and low corner. And this one's going to get past Thomas, but no runners on base, so no damage done. 0 outs, 3 balls, 0 strikes. And that one's going to be in a really similar slot down there in the bottom right corner of the zone. So a little bit of a rough first at bat for Giles.
Now batting for Skyline, number 12.
And he's going to see if he can get his rhythm against Pereira. Pereira, who we haven't seen on the day, is going to get a piece of this one after being down 0-1. And that's going to find grass in the outfield. And we got 2 on. So a little bit of life here for Skyline in the bottom of the 5th. While being down 10-0, they got 2 on first and second, and they're going to bring in Billick at the top of the order with Zervis on deck and Yagi in the hole. Billick, who popped a fly out there in the first and then struck out in the third, has yet to see first base today.
Skyline, number 10, Charlie Billick. And in to run for the Eagles, number 5, Jack Ahmedpour.
They're going to bring in number 5, Jack Ahmedpour, for Skyline. So he's over there at first as a speed up and runner on second. And Giles still struggling to find his rhythm a little bit. And he's going to check over at second. And this one's going to be low. They're going to ask for time here. And looks like Jeremy Thomas is going to walk out there and hopefully get things figured out. So after 4.5 innings played with 0 outs in this inning, Maple Mountain leads 10-0, but they got runners on first and second, and they're going to have a quick mound meeting to get things settled down a little bit for Giles, as he's down in this count 1-0 against Billick. There's a little bit of cloud cover, moves back over. Man, you just never get tired of this view out there. Maple Mountain, beautiful field to play at. Maybe one of the best backdrops over there on their football field as well, of any football field here in Utah, which is saying a lot because anywhere along the Wasatch Front, they're all gorgeous. And finally gets a strike in there, making the count 1-1. So after walking a single, runners on first and second for Skyline, who's finally getting a little bit of life in their lungs. With 0 outs here in the bottom of the fifth. And Giles is going to check things back over there at second. And Papadakis is going to slide back in. Here comes the 2-1. Outside for the 3-1. Zero outs, runners on first and second. That pitch is going to go down and right into the feet of Billick. So that'll be the second hit by pitch of the day for Maple Mountain, and the first by Giles, who did get 1 strike there, but hasn't been able to really get a good pitching rhythm going here.
George Zervos. And to run for the Eagles, number 8, Carson Atkinson.
And Thomas showing a little bit of frustration back behind home as they're now in a bases loaded situation with number 17, George Zervos, making his way out there. Zervos was walked in the first, the only one to get on base in the first, and then got a hit in the third, which was caught. So hasn't seen first today, or has seen first once today on a walk. Looking to get there again and get some points on the board for this Skyline group. And first pitch, low and outside. Here's the 1-0 with bases loaded, 0 outs on the inning. And there's a good one for Giles as Zervos is going to swing through that one, giving us the 1-1 count. Here's pitch 3. And it seems like maybe that was what Giles needed, was to see Zervos swing through that one, and he gets 2 laced in there. Zervos does get a piece of that, but sends it back into the fence, bringing us to the 1-2. So favorable count for Giles, trying to get his first out of the bottom of the fifth. And there it is. And Thomas gives him the thumbs up, showing him that he's finding his rhythm, and Giles able to get his first strikeout in there of the day. And that's going to bring up Jack Yagi with Wharton on deck and Papadakis, who hit a single earlier on in the hole. The bases are still loaded, 1 out in the bottom of the fifth, where in the top of, Maple Mountain was able to put 2 runs on the board. And that one's just going to miss outside. The 1-0 is inside, making it 2-0. So Giles down in the count early, having to fight his way back in here against Yagi, who has not seen first base today on his 2 at-bats. And this one's going to go right down the middle, where the catch is going to be made in center, and then they're going to advance. They're going to advance 1 run in the form of Papadakis, who gets them on the board. So after 4 and 2/3 innings played with 2 outs here, Skyline finally able to get on the board with Papadakis, who was walked earlier on in the inning on that fly out by Yagi. And that's going to bring up Wharton, who also hasn't reached today. Popped one up in the first and struck out in the third. Runners on first and second. And he gets a piece of this one. Healthy piece, send it back to center where the catch is going to be made, and that's going to wrap things up here in the fifth inning.
All right, that completes the fifth inning.
That'll flip us over to the sixth, so we're going to step aside for a second with Maple Mountain leading the pack here 10-1. We will see in a moment.
Maple Mountain 10.
The best time to check your furnace is before it fails, and you can rely on Triple T to do the job right. Our technicians are trained every year so you can sleep better at night, knowing your furnace is safe to operate. Call Triple T at 798-7711 to schedule your tune-up today.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Lance Wilson for your personal price plan today.
Welcome back out to Spanish Fork, Utah. There's a view over there of me. I'm going to give you guys a wave if you see me down there by the fence in front of the white van. In the dashing leather jacket, if I do say so myself. It started out as a cold day today. I'm probably going to have to take this off in a second there. And if you look in the van, you see our producer over there, Pete, waving out. Pete, who is not exactly a glutton for screen time, but gets his moment in the limelight there. We sure appreciate Pete and everything that he does for this station. And there's me. So just in case you're wondering who this voice is, I probably didn't even introduce myself. I have a nasty habit of doing that. I'm Coach T, and you are watching Maple Mountain Baseball. Maple Mountain leads things here 10-1 after 5 innings played. They put on 1 on the board in the first, 7 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth. And Skyline scored their lone run in the bottom of the fifth. Skyline with 2 errors on the day, which contributed towards Maple Mountain scoring. And here we go, the 3-1. And that was...
Now batting for the Golden Eagles, number 7, Nash Ferguson.
That was, well, let's see. I got to get a name for you guys here. Giles. So Giles, who's been up on the mound for the last little bit. Will get on over to first. And that'll bring up Nash Ferguson. And the only reason I say Fergie is because his walkout music is Fergie music, so that's my nickname for him. I don't know if his team calls him that. I probably wouldn't let my team call me that. So Ferguson in a 0-1 count. Ferguson hits a 206 after 34 at-bats. And some heat on that return throw from the catcher. That one almost caught Beasley right in the chin. Now the 1-2 count for Ferguson. With a runner on first. And Ferguson's going to lace that one out in the window over into left, get past Pedroza. And it's finally going to be corralled, but not before he gets on over to first. So runners on
Reese Johnson.
Runners on first and second. And that's going to bring up Johnson. Johnson, who was walked in the first, hit a single in the the fourth. And then hit it out for left for ground out in the last inning. And Beasley's going to take a second here. And Reese is going to step back in, and this one might be gone. It looks like it's gone, and it is gone. What a day for this Maple Mountain crew. That's going to be a 3-run home run. And Reese Johnson, who on the year, he has hit one home run. That's going to be his second, and that's going to bring 3 in for this Maple Mountain squad, and he's going to get all the celebrations he deserves, and you get to see it here. He's going to go boogie boarding or wake surfing or whatever you want to call that right into his team's welcoming arms. And that's going to bring up Hall, who, not good news for Skyline. Hall hit a home run earlier. Although outside of that, he is 1 for 3 on the day, striking out and hitting ground out last inning. So the score now 13-1 in favor of the Golden Eagles. And here comes Johnson's mom. If you just heard the yell on the microphone, I'm guessing that's probably mom. Very excited. That's one happy mother right there. So the 3-run homer. And now a 2-1 count up against Hall. And Hall sends this one over to short, and the play's going to be made in time. That's another one for Pedroza, who has had himself a pretty good day. One got by him earlier, but so far has covered a lot of ground and made the throws on time over to Peyton Papadakis. And that's going to bring up Chase Johnston, who singled and doubled so far today. He's gone 2 for 3. With the score 13-1 in favor of the Eagles. 1 out here in the top of the 6th. Here's the 0-1. And he's going to swing over the top of that one, making it 0-2 early against Johnston. He's going to get a piece of this one, sending it back into the fence by me. So things stay at 0-2. Johnston, who bats a .290, 1 home run on the year. And he's going to go out swinging here, racking up the 2nd out of the inning for Skyline. And that's going to bring up Leifson. Leifson, who is 1 for 3 on the day, hit a single in the 4th. And that's going to be the 2nd strikeout of the day for Beasley. Leifson's going to take this one inside at the waist, making it 1-0. And sees that one low and outside, making it 2-0. So good count for Leifson here. No runners on, 2 outs. Maple Mountain with a commanding lead, and he's going to get this one out past Pedroza, and it's eventually going to be stopped, but not before Layson is able to advance over to first. That's the second time this day that he's reached on a single. That's going to bring up Hyatt. Hyatt today was hit by a pitch
Now batting for the
last
Golden
inning,
Eagles,
and
number
then
2,
got a
Hayden
single in the
Hyatt.
4th. And that was part of that huge 4th for Maple Mountain, who poured on 7 points in the 4th, and then that with their 2 in the 5th, 3 here in the 6th so far, and 1 in the 1st. And that's going to get in there for strike 1, just clips the outside. So an 0-1 with Leifson over there on first. And this one goes in the dirt, but it's corralled by Skyline, and no damage done for Leifson. Makes a smart decision to not advance with 2 outs in the inning. And over getting his swings in is Thomas. And this one's just going to thread the needle and get past George Service over there at third. And that's going to go down as a double for Hyatt. And bring us back to Thomas. So back to the top of the order with runner on second and third. The lead 13-1 with 2 outs.
For the Golden Eagles, number 1,
here in the top of the 6th.
Thomas.
Thomas has put a pretty good day together for himself. This is his 5th at-bat on the day. He walked in the first and hit a triple last inning. Could have easily been a double with the speed that he has, though. He's able to round and get over there. And he gets that one right up the second base line where it's going to be stopped out in center field, but not before 2 are going to get in. And Thomas is going to pull up at first. And that'll run things up to 15-1 in favor of the Golden Eagles. And that's going to bring out number 3 for the Golden Eagles, Erickson. But not before they have a quick mound meeting for Skyline. So Beasley on the day, he struck out 2, hit 2, and walked 1. Maple Mountain with the commanding lead here, 15-1. They've been able to pour 5 more on here in the top of the 6th. And the sun's starting to come back out here, and with 2 outs in the top of the 6th, hopefully that's a good omen for Beasley, who would sure like to put this one away. He's going to have to do it against Erickson, who Erickson 1 for 4 on the day. He's hit a single in the 4th. Erickson struck out twice. And AJ still out there at first, despite there being 2 outs. But that could be a sign of what's to come here. So 1-1 count for Erickson. And he cocks back and doesn't take a swing at that one, though. That one's going to come inside, making it a 2-1 count. Thomas on first. Thomas, who's known for stilling without any sort of lead over there. And that's going to be a hit by pitch. You hate to see that at this point in the game.
Eagles, number 32,
that's
Kaden
the
Giles.
second one of the day for Skyline, the first by Beasley. And that's going to bring up Giles. Giles, who's stepping in for Chrisman. Chrisman, who was intentionally walked 2 times today. Giles hit a single just a moment ago, and he's going to see this first one high. So with Thomas on second and Erickson in first, we got a 1-0 count with 2 outs in the top of the 6th. And Giles finds the seam here. This one's going to go over the second base line, and they're really using that seam today, and they try to make the play over at third and not going to quite get there in time. Zervis brings the tag down and just doesn't get there as the
now batting for the
third base has actually popped up a little bit. It looked like it came off the ground, and they're getting it set back in there. And that's going to bring up Ferguson. Ferguson, who also had a single in this same inning, so second time through the order for both of these guys. And another one on the board for Maple Mountain as they try to get third base put back in the ground. The total score, 16 ones to run in favor of Maple Mountain after 5 2/3 of an inning played. Maple Mountain looking like they're going to put this one away early and advance on to the next round of the state playoffs. And we talked about this earlier. They played the winner of the 3-game series between Murray and Viewmont. Murray, the 8 seed, Viewmont, the 9. And that game's going to be on the 19th at 4:30 in the afternoon. That is a single game. So the way it goes in the bracket for the next little bit is they do win or go home. No series for a little bit until they get to the championship. So a tough stretch ahead for Maple Mountain, but they're looking like in pretty good shape here. And this one's going to be in the dirt way ahead. And that's going to bring Erickson home for Maple Mountain. Bring the score to 17-1 in favor of the Golden Eagles. But Beasley almost finds the zone there. Could have been called either way. It's going to be called just low, making it 2-1. And that one's going to get in there, evening up things 2-2. Now Ferguson with the 2-2 count. And he'll chop at this one. It's going to send it up high center. But underneath it to make the play is Mason Papadakis, and that's going to wrap up that.
All right, that completes the at-bat
tough top of the 6th.
At that at-bat, they score
for Maple Mountain. They're going to pour 7 on top of their 10, with the total score coming to 17-1. And as we head over to the bottom of the inning, it gives us a chance to thank our sponsors here at Spanish Fork 17. That is Spanish Fork Community Network, 2 Jack's Pizza, MVP Sports, the attorneys at law, Utah Legal Team attorneys at law, Edward Jones, Mike Mendenhall and Tyler Mendenhall Financial Advisors, Triple T Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical, and Lance Wilson State Farm.
Taking over on the mound for the Golden Eagles, number 13, Sawyer Lakeson.
After a short term on the mound for Giles, they're going to turn the page over to Leifson. Leifson, who's been in outfield all day, will make his way into the infield and try to close this one out for Maple Mountain. And it would take some pretty miraculous hitting from Skyline to get back into this one. I've seen some pretty crazy things before, but Maple Mountain today has all but shut them out, except for a walk that ended up in a run in the bottom of the fifth. Papadakis was walked and eventually ended up getting scoring after a Pedroza single and a Billick hit by pitch. And then after that, a strikeout and a flyout to strand one on second and one on third for Skyline, and that's how things wrapped up for them in the fifth. So they're going to need a different result here to have any hope of getting back into this one in the sixth. Leifson with a bunch of velocity on that one, gets that one in there for strike one. Papadakis now with things evened up, 1-1. Now the 2-1 count with 0 outs. Bottom of the sixth, where Maple Mountain leads 17-1. Now once again things level. A flush 2-2 against Papadakis, and Leifson delivers, and this one's going to be just high, bringing things to a full count. And that's going to be strike three, and Papadakis is retired. Papadakis, who has had himself a pretty good day. He singled in the second and then got hit by pitch in the fourth. And that's going to bring up Beasley, who has struck out and popped one up in the fourth. Leifson records his first strikeout of the day. And Beasley's going to come over the top of this, making it a 0-1 count. And that one's going to hit the zone, making it 0-2. Beasley with the hold to try and fight his way out of here. The 0-2 count. And he's going to foul that one back. Healthy chop. Keeping things at 0-2. And that just misses inside. So the 1-2 count for Leifson. He's got some room to work with here. A little bit of space for breathing room. And coming over the top of it is Beasley, who's going to strike out for the second time today, and that's the second one for Leifson, who really has a good rhythm going here.
Now batting for Skyline,
hasn't been too deep into the count.
31, Abe Wilson.
And that's going to bring up Wilson, who popped a fly out in the second and a ground out in the fourth. This is the thread for Skyline. That one's going to come in high, making it a 1-0 count. And we'll smack this one up. And they said heads. I'm not sure where that one ended up. Pretty close to the soccer practice over there is what it looks like. So that one's fouled back, bringing the count to 1-1 with 2 outs. Maple Mountain with a 17-1 run lead over the visiting Skyline. And he's going to check swing that, but he just barely clears, so it's going to be a 1-2 count. And Leifson hoping to put this one away. Looking for the call that he likes. And there it is. He'll go early, and that's going to wrap this one up for Maple Mountain.
From Sawyer Leifson to end the game.
So that wraps things up. The final score 17-1 in favor of Maple Mountain over the visiting Skyline Eagles. We're going to designate an MVP, sports MVP of the game in just a moment and talk about what's upcoming for this Maple Mountain crew after this commercial break. We'll see you in a moment.
And Minky Couture.
Dad, we got this.
We got this.
Let me check out something.
We got this. We got this.
Life is for living.
We got this.
Let's partner for all of it. Edward Jones.
Hi, welcome to Two Jacks Pizza.
For the best pizza you'll ever taste and our world-famous cheese sticks, come to Two Jacks Pizza on Main Street in Spanish Fork, or call us for a quick delivery. Are you hungry yet?
Welcome back out to Spanish Fork, Utah, where your Maple Mountain Golden Eagles are able to continue to defend their state championship and their current run towards the state championship and trying to see if they can be repeats. They got a long way to go, though. Good sign today, though, is they take down Skyline Eagles 17-1, and this is the second game of a 3-game series. There will not be a game 3. It was the best out of 3. And the Golden Eagles walk away from this one with only 1 run on the board for Skyline after some excellent fielding. They recorded 6 strikeouts on the day, but like I said, just got under fly balls and made the catches on time. And as we look ahead to what's coming up for this Maple Mountain crew, they're going to take on the winner of Murray and Viewmont, and that's going to be on the 19th at 4:30 in the afternoon. As you see there, that game's going to be held at BYU's baseball stadium. And then if they are able to make it past that, their next game will be on the 20th. And Spanish Fork also playing right now. We hope that if you're watching this, you give them some love as they're trying to come out on top of a series against the number 4 seed Alta. So for our MVP, sports MVP of the game, this is one that we haven't mentioned too much this season, but Reese Johnson with a really great game for himself. Johnson, who was walked earlier on, and then with a single in the fourth and a home run in the 6th with a heck of a game for himself. A lot of other contributors towards this were Leifson, Hyatt, and all the names that we're familiar with, like Thomas and Chrisman, who was intentionally walked twice as Skyline tried to keep him from adding on to his record. So once again, Reese Johnson, our MVP Sports MVP of the game. We once again thank MVP Sports for helping us out here at Spanish Fork 17. And this one is going to send Skyline home, and Maple Mountain's going to move on. Once again, you can always find us at youtube.com/Spanish Fork 17. I'm Coach T. Thank you so much for joining us. And as we enjoy that nice view there, before I put a bow on this one, I'd just like to mention that this may be our last game of the season, our last baseball game that we're going to have here on Spanish Fork 17. It's going to be our last broadcast, and obviously things ahead for Maple Mountain and hopefully Spanish Fork as well. But we'd just like to thank our crew and our production studio here at Spanish Fork 17 and all the talent that comes together to make this possible. And we hope to see you soon in one of our future broadcasts. And the final score here, 17-1. Maple Mountain Golden Eagles coming away with the win. I'm Coach T, and I'll see you on the flip side. Cut it.